What is going on? Whoa, what? Okay. Whoa. Was? This is a weird bug. So we're looking for, but the type is not a namespace type. Okay. We yield here. We yield here. And then we error. In the polymorphed what? Yeah, I know Spelunky because I couldn't get this capture card that I bought to work. So that was a bummer. And then I also realized I wouldn't have audio anyway. So we're going to use PC Spelunky instead. PC Spelunky. I tried though. I tried to make Spelunky happen. Okay, this is a weird one. This is going to be a lambda. No. This is going to be a lambda body, yeah. Okay, so now I think this was the result of a polymorph. Let's verify that. Yes. The problem is why? Because we weren't supposed to do the body. This was not. I think this is just This may just be an oversight that we somehow never triggered. So we do these overloads. We find them. Some of them may be polymorphic, but should not be greenlit. Wait. No, resolve potential overloads does do that. So we collect the overloads. We sort the arguments. Yeah, I think somehow in all the volume of code that we have, we never had or haven't recently had an overload where the incorrect overload polymorphed to something that matches, I guess. This is pretty weird. It's like so this is the thing. This is when we infer a lambda. Wait, this is if it's... Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, I think we're just not supposed to queue it. Until we know that we want it. Okay. So okay. Okay. Okay, so we're going to make this flag. Now we have to set this flag. Is it a job or a passion or both? Well, obviously I'm interested if I didn't even see the chat message for a while. That is a good flag name. It's, you read it and you kind of know what it's trying to say, you know? Okay. Oh, let's release build. Whoop. What is the assert? Get break there, why not? Oh, this is a flag that this is kind of a dumb assertion. Like sometimes you put in an assertion early on to be reassured about some things and you don't really need it later. Oh, that's deafen flags. Ugh. Gross. Gross. You know what? No program entry point was found. I think that means we fixed the bug. That was fast for such a thing. Let's make sure we didn't break things, which we, well, oh yeah, we did. Oh yeah, we did. I guess that doesn't always happen. Request to go hot. So that's a double. Oh. Oh, right. This is kind of gross, but we're going to modify lambda queuing anyway, eventually. All right, debug builds, debug builds. Don't. Okay. This is probably because we can polymorph macros. Let me just try this. So I think we like, whoops. I think we like queued the body of that macro. Yeah, same thing. Really? Let me just say, assert on that flag. I bet this assertion goes off. Look, we just wanted to add a couple lines here and it's getting big. Okay, yeah. See that? So this didn't have a body, doesn't rule it out. If all else fails, add an if. If all else fails, add an if. Oops. Could be working. Looks like it's working. Does it blend? It blends. Does this blend? What book would I recommend to improve programming logic? Hacker's Delight on that list. Okay. I am going to respond off screen to the person who submitted this. And I'm going to say, And that reported the error when it compiled. Fixed in next beta. Pretty amazing. We didn't notice this before now. Is this a blocking issue, or can you work around it for a bit? I just put out a beta today and don't want to give people beta fatigue, but we could do another one in a row. I'll just say it's another non-necessary download! Exclamation point. Okay, great. Always good. Well, I mean, always sort of good when your beta testers find bugs in your programming language. It means they're using it and, you know, they're interested enough in it to use it for a while, so it's all good. Is the second edition worth it? I don't really know what the differences are between the first edition and the second edition, so I cannot answer that question. I kind of vaguely remember reading the intro to the second edition, and it says what the differences are. I don't remember what those differences are, but you know, you might be able to like Google Books it or something and read those first pages. All right, we're just going to do a release build check, even though it won't turn up anything new, because this is a pretty major change. Oh, I have to explain these things too before we check in as well. What camera am I using? It is a Sony A7 III. Yeah, it takes tremendously longer to build the compiler than the actual game. And the game is like twice as big as the compiler. The game is pretty big. Okay. Okay. We do this, but release build. And we do this. And we run that, and then we'll do an LLVM version as well, because that is also a thing that we changed today. We changed some major things today. The compiler build times are pretty good right now, but they're still going to get 10 times as fast before we're done. We're still 10x off the target speed. Okay, deflag prevents us from trying to compile the body of a polymorph procedure if we generated the header. The reason is the process of generating a polymorph doesn't test the non-polymorphic arguments to see if they actually match. maybe we should do this in the future, but for now, it happens at a later time. The result is that we can generate a header whose polymorphic arguments all pattern match correctly, but whose non-polymorphic arguments do not. You might think that this wouldn't matter, but there are trivial cases where it does, like this one given to us by a beta tester. I mean, I'm just going to put the whole thing in there. Because like I said earlier on a stream, you know what, let's try and indent this. Will Emacs do this? We can compress it a bit. You know what? I'm going to do that. Oops. Why is it? Oh, it's this. This example fails because the T matches both calls trivially, and M is not checked, so we can't. So we generate a header for isMatcher count matcher. T bool when the body tries to dereference the bool, so really we want to avoid this body from being compiled, so we set this flag on the body to prevent that until the call decides who really matches. In addition to being useful for correctness, this also causes us to do less compilation work in cases where there's a tiebreaker between multiple potentially valid procedures. There's a cast count. Without this flag, we compile all of them, even if we didn't need the others. Okay, I think that's a good explanation. And then in also we had a no check in here, and I want to say C for an explanation of this flag. Is it pretty obvious what those performance improvements will be in the future? Part of it is just parallelism, because the compiler almost doesn't run in parallel right now. Part of it is just making some things faster in the regular old optimization way. Like, none of it is really rocket science. Well, the parallelism is sort of rocket science in the sense that it's pretty hard. It is pretty hard to solve. Okay, so we're just going to run these tests again, even though we didn't change anything that wasn't a comment. Programmers rule the world. No, they actually don't, because they have personality defects. I mean, this makes a good webcam, doesn't it? Like, is there a complaint? It's a better webcam than the old one that I was running. Fix excessive and sometimes incorrect polymorphs. So I think we did get a compile time boost from that. Whoa, we've still got a no check-in. Really? Oh. Yeah, we're not going to worry about that anymore. Okay. I mean, that's good. We are now caught up. We are at bug list 0. I mean, bug list from user 0. There's definitely more stuff that I want to do. You know, it's kind of late. I'm in the mood to maybe read some of the stuff that other people linked as opposed to programming some more. Like, somebody was mentioning the Project Oberon thing, which I'd heard about. So we can just see what's going on here. Designed for a complete desktop computer system from scratch, simplicity and clarity. Enables a single person to know and implement the whole system. Sounds good. Oh, this is the Virt thing. I didn't realize this was still going. It's the same Oberon. I have the book for this somewhere. Right here. And I even talked about it in a speech I gave earlier this year that has not been made public yet. I didn't realize this was still going into 2020. First printing of this book is 1991. Well, what was interesting about it? What was interesting about what? Oberon. Well, I mean, computers are too damn complicated. So if you try to solve that problem, that's good. Have I looked at the custom ISA that Agner Fogg has been working on? I looked at it a little bit. It seemed cool, right? From a high level, like it seemed like something I could get behind. I am not a specialist in CPUs, but, you know, he seems like he knows a lot about CPUs, so yeah. The best programmers you ever worked with are the ones who are personable. Not true in my life. Not true. Are you one of those people who thinks 10x programmers don't exist? Yeah, personable means friendly and good at socialization. Have I tried libfuzzer? No, I haven't. 10x programmers don't exist. There are just a whole lot of 0.1x programmers. I mean, that is kind of true. I mean, it really is true that most programmers are below 1.0. But it also is true that there are programmers who do much more than 10x. So, for example, John Carmack, back in the day, especially when he was doing Doom, it wasn't just that he was 10 times faster than other programmers. It was like no other programmer could have done Doom at that time, period. Like, he was infinity X compared to other programmers when it came to making Doom. You know what I'm saying? So, and that kind of thing still happens sometimes. But, you know, 10x is sort of a simplification of that concept, right? That's usually still John Carmack. What makes someone 10x versus 1x? Innate talent, practice, obsession. I mean, you probably have to have some talent, but a lot of it is just doing it a lot. Like, I am a way better programmer than I was at 20 years old. And I'd been programming for 10 years when I was 20. I probably have the same talent level as in fact, I probably have less talent because I'm old now, right? But I'm much better than I was. You don't have to be antisocial to be good at programming. Two equivalent programmers, one who is personable, one who is not. The personable programmer is 100 times more efficient than one who cannot lead. That's false. That's bullshit. I'm sorry, we don't stand for that stuff in this channel. That is simply not true. So you're conflating two concepts. You're conflating a lead and a programmer, first of all, which are two different things. Like, a team lead or a programming team manager is different from a programmer, right? If you're saying the manager is more leveraged, like, maybe not, because it depends on whether they are swappable in for some other manager. Like, I'm sorry, I don't believe, like, we've reached the time in society when this kind of rhetoric is doing damage, when all sorts of people are saying, oh yeah, no, the best programmer is the person who gets along with other people on the team. It's like, yes, that is good. It's great if you get along with other people on the team and don't cause problems and, don't cause arguments. But that's a different thing from programming skill. It simply is. And there are people who have very good programming skill. Like, that kind of rhetoric only flourishes in a kind of a software environment like we have now, where most of what people are doing is not very hard and most software is completely botched, and it doesn't matter because there's so much easy money. That is why people say that stuff, because it doesn't matter. If you hire people who are not that good at their job, but they have a good haircut or something, or you like the way they talk to you, and they end up not being that good at their job, that's fine, because every other company mostly has people who aren't good at their job, right? So you're competing against whatever. But the problem is we're building this system of increasing complexity, and we need people who can deal with that and can help fix it. And those are not going to be the people who aren't that good at programming, who you hired because their teeth are white. All right? Now, that is not to say that you should hire toxic people. That's different, right? So if everybody hates working with a programmer and they make all kinds of divisiveness and stuff, you probably don't want to hire that guy, even if he's good. Or if he's really, really good, if he's world class, figure out a way to isolate him from the rest of the team and let him do his own thing, right? There are ways to make that work. But yeah, you don't want to hire somebody poisonous. But that's different from just like hiring somebody who doesn't really talk much, or people don't socialize with very well and stuff. That's a very different thing. Someone says, if you want to succeed in the game industry, get a good haircut. I mean, it worked great for Lewis Castle. So if you want to succeed like Lou Castle, get a good haircut. But yeah, just the statement that like the people who get along best on the team are the best programmers is completely false. And for some reason, people see fit to repeat that. It's just false. I don't know what else to say. If you build a company under that thesis, you are making it much harder for yourself because you're making poor choices. Yeah, people need to figure out the secret of Elon Musk's hair. He knows some hair regeneration technology that nobody else does. At your job, the best programmer is super social and the worst ones are toxic. Well, I mean, sure, you might have gotten lucky. Or your best programmer might not be as good as the best programmers at other places. I don't know. For sure, I'm not saying this is true 100% of the time in all cases, right? It's a statistical thing. Infinity just says it's like people repeating that programmers can't be productive more than 2 hours a day or whatever. Exactly. People want to believe that. People want to believe, oh, you can't really work more than 2 hours a day on code because your brain gets tired, so blah, blah, blah. And okay, fine. But if you're going to spread that rhetoric, you're contributing maybe to the downfall of society. And, or if you form a company around that thesis, again, you're doing yourself a great disadvantage. I think he just meant that if you have two programmers of equivalent skill, adding social skills on top of that can only be a benefit. I agree with that, but that is not the statement that I originally made. Plugs, when you have money, you can do whatever. I mean, maybe, so I don't know anything about fake hair because as you can see, I never went for that. But I assume that hair plugs are it's just like artificial hair that's it's all just kind of bound together and stuck into the scalp in one place. So if you have a ton of money, can you just get individual hair strand plugs instead of is the actual plug part a budget thing? And if you pay more, you can just get higher tech, smaller plugs, or what? We know for a fact he did multiple hair transplants. From other people, or the weird ones where they remove hair from other places on your body? You just started a job as a storyteller for a video game making company. Any tips for a rookie? I mean, I don't know. It sounds like your job is very different from the kind of thing that I do. So and every company is pretty different, so I'm not sure that I would have correct advice for you. People don't understand that exceptions don't disprove the rule. Exactly, right? Exactly. Who the hell said that? Oh, you mean the 2 hour thing? It comes up on Hacker News every month. And it's not really 2 hours is a little bit of an exaggeration, but people do say stuff like 4 hours. Actually, sometimes people say 2 hours. Do I think that Scrum and other productivity workflows are beneficial, or do they just waste time? I think they're like a lot of things. They're like all these rules about how to program where they appear to be useful if you're starting with total chaos. If you don't know how to run a company and organize people or anything, and you do Scrum, that's going to be better than not doing anything. All right. But is it good relative to the best techniques? I don't think so. You really don't understand what personality has to do with programming skill? I claim that there's a correlation between high programming skill and bad personality, in the sense that people who are attracted to computers at a young age and who stick with them because they're successful with them spend a lot of time in front of computers when other people would be socializing, right? Especially like in person after school or whatever. Now, I don't know how this has changed now that the internet is everywhere, but maybe it'll be less extreme. But, you know, you can, when you're a kid, you could be popular and go to parties, or you could be unpopular and sit in front of a computer, or you could be unpopular and sit at home and smoke pot, I guess, right? Like, the people who spend all that time on a computer instead of at parties are going to be better than people who go to parties. That's just fact. I don't know what to say about that. That's just fact. They plug hair follicles into their head and it grows like normal hair does. But wouldn't they like fall out again? Part of it is failure to match tasks to programmers that are interested in them. Imagine you are assigned to program Windows API or OpenGL as your day job. Am I going to be super productive? No, absolutely not. And in fact, this is totally true. Like, I had several jobs, a couple full-time ones and a couple contracts, where I was just a shitty employee. I was bad at my job. Like, I was kind of good. I would like get awesome stuff done for like 2 weeks and then I would flame out and not be interested. So I totally have sympathy when people do that. Like, I've been there. I just had to find my personal spot, right? They transplant follicles from the front of your head to the back. But Elon was missing hair all along the front, from the back to the front. They thin the back out slightly. I don't know. Like, if you see close-ups of Elon, like, he's got a lot of hair now. It's not like barely. It's not like barely. It wasn't a 4-hour thing based on voice actor unions. I don't know. I mean, it comes up all the time on Hacker News. And a lot of it is just the justification is just you can't think that much. I think Trump should ban JavaScript? No. This is not something that regulation is going to fix. What are the traits of some of the best managers I've worked with? I mean, I haven't worked with that many good managers. But they just tend to solve problems immediately and unblock people who are blocked, right? And to take people's quality of life at the job seriously. Would I put myself in the category of personality defect programmers? Yes, but my personality defects are not as severe as they used to be. And I've mellowed out in a lot of ways as I aged. That should hold true for any activity. The people who are great at violin or whatever probably also skipped some parties to practice. Yeah, I mean, this is why the Tiger Moms have their kid learn violin at like 5 years old or whatever, right? That's how that works. And the weird thing that we have in the West about denying that is really strange. You can definitely have any personality and be good in tech. I mean, you can be fine, right? But I'm just saying there's a trade-off. If you're a certain level of good because you started programming in college, would you have been better if you had 10 more years of experience at programming because you started when you were 8 instead of 18? I mean, honestly answer that question. It's a lot of follicles. It's pretty gruesome. I mellowed out. Serious Sam says otherwise. I mellowed out with regard to, like, when programmers, or there's a certain personality type which I was part of, but maybe not as severely as some other people. But like, when you're a young programmer and you're in high school, college, or whatever, you're just very concerned with being the smart person. In part because that's how you learn to program, right? But it has a social dimension, and there's just a lot of like, nuh-uh, I'm right, you're wrong that happens. And some people never graduate out of that. I did it mostly at some point. I mean, I still have very strong opinions and think that I'm right and other people are wrong, but I don't feel the need to argue with people about it preemptively, like to show that I'm smart or whatever, right? Which I would have done a little bit in the past. But I know some people who have much more of that kind of personality too. You don't learn anything substantial at 8 years old, let's be honest. You must be from a Western country. I mean, I learned programming at 10. I could have learned it earlier, probably. Lua and the Linux kernel begin rant. Do you think you'd be better at programming if you started earlier? The answer isn't objectively yes. The skills you developed early in life may have translated to... That's horseshit. Sorry. I mean, there's no... Again, there's a statistical component to this, but like, let's say you repeat trials. Let's say you can A-B two universes, and we repeat 100 trials where we go get a time machine and interfere with people's lives and actually start them programming at 8 years old or 18 years old. And then we have an objective test of relatively as objective as we can make it, test of programming skill at the end of that. And if more than 50 people are better starting at 8, then I win the money. And if less than 50 people are better, or wait, it wouldn't even be that. It's not more or less than 50. Something like that, though. I'll take the 50, even though that's a really strong case. If less than 50 people are better, you win. And by the way, the amount of money is $10 million. Would you take that bet? Programming skill doesn't make a good programmer in the workplace. That's horse shit too. I'm sorry. This is how that discussion started, as somebody said that, and I took exception to it. That is wrong. That is a popular opinion to hold, and it is wrong. The people who learn to program starting at 8 will likely hate programming burnout. Well, if you force them to, yes. But I kind of don't think that those people would end up programming in college either. Like, your thesis is that someone's going to not like computers when they're young, but they're going to be amazing at it when they're older. It doesn't make sense. You guys, this is a pointless argument because we can't actually do a version of this bet and bet money on it. I can almost guarantee that if you had to bet a significant amount of money, you wouldn't take the bet. That's how this works. It's easy to talk shit on the internet when it doesn't actually matter, but when you get down to it and it actually matters, you find that your opinion changes. Most of your coworkers didn't start out programming. Okay, are they 10x programmers? Are most of your coworkers exemplary programmers? Yes, I don't believe you. Where do you work? Google, I definitely don't believe you. What division of Google do you work at? Cloud, I definitely don't believe you. I'm sorry, we just have different opinions about what's good and what's not good. That's all. It's pointless. Like, you know, at that point, it's kind of pointless to have that discussion. I mean, Google, like a lot of other companies, when they were really small, this happens basically to every big company, right? When they were really small, a lot of the programmers that they hired were very high quality, right? But as they grew, they needed to fill seats. And so the standards go down. And then eventually a lot of the people you hire are just like, the requirement is, do you have a computer science degree from a college? Do you have a bachelor's in computer science or some equivalent? And okay, well, back in like the 90s, people who graduated with a bachelor's in computer science tended to be really skilled because they got into that because they were really interested in computers. And when you're interested in something, you really work hard at it, right? Now, everybody knows you can make a lot of money from computers. That wasn't true when I was in high school. Like, if you were at my high school and asked the job counselor what jobs would make you the most money, she would have said, in fact, I was in one of these meetings, I guess, even though I wasn't, this was like a standard thing that they said. They would be like doctor and lawyer, right? They wouldn't have said computer programming. That's like down the totem pole, right? Now it's not, because everybody knows you can sit around and not do that much work and make millions of dollars. So now all these people are in these majors who are doing it for the career prestige or the money or something, and not really for the love of computers. And so that is who a big company like Google mostly hires now. And that's fine. I mean, they can know a lot of things in the computer science books, but that's not the same. They're not John Carmack, is what I'm saying. They're not John Carmack. And that happens at every big company, just to varying degrees. Like, some companies still do a better job of managing that, and some don't. Did I or some beta tester play with dynamic real-time code loading? No, I don't like the complexity involved with that. I don't think it's a good thing to introduce, because if you change a data structure, you're hosed. And so you're giving the programmer the job of thinking about that. It's very ironic that John Carmack works at Facebook, though. You're not sure what my 10x engineer company is right now. Well, it's a weird thing where I think a lot of those people are not in software. I think a lot of them are like at Neuralink or somewhere, right? Or at SpaceX. Like, the smart people kind of went somewhere besides, because web programming just sucks. So if you're really, young, why would you be motivated by web? I mean, you kind of can, I guess, because there's the immediacy of like, oh, I made this page, right? But it's just so stupid when you get into it. I kind of feel like smart people are driven to other fields now. But I'm not sure when that started. So I think, most people who have been working at Google for like 4 or 5 years probably were in CS before that happened. I don't know, man. Anyway, it's a dumb thing to argue about because, again, we can't, this kind of argument doesn't work well over the internet because neither person has skin in the game, right? I mean, I have skin in the game in a certain way, which is that I run a company that is very stressful to keep in business, right? And so I need to make sure that we hire people who are going to help keep the company in business. And by the way, make things that are good, which is also hard. So I have skin in the game in that way, but most people I would get in this argument with do not have skin in the game. And in fact, have the opposite incentive. Like if you're an employee of a company, it's in your best interest that that company thinks, and I don't mean any particular person in the chat, but like it's in a generic employee's best interest for the company to think they're as good as possible without them having to be that good, right? Because then you're valued more, you get paid more, etc. So it's like employees of big companies actually have anti-skin in this game in terms of making proper judgment. If you start with web, then you don't realize though, but you do, because like, let's say you encountered, JavaScript programming and it kind of sucked. And then you also learned some math, and math was clear and beautiful. If you like things that are clear and beautiful, you might be attracted to the math. That said, when I was a kid, I did mostly basic and assembly, neither of which is clear and beautiful. Well, assembly is clear and beautiful in a certain way, but basic isn't. So maybe it doesn't matter as much. Have I read Talib's stuff regarding skin in the game? No. I've only read his older stuff. People in finance are responsible for a huge value generated in society. I'm not sure what to think about that. I think that's a little bit true, but not as true as people in finance would have you believe. But it's more true than the Bernie Sanders Wall Street is 100% evil people will say. Gaming? I don't know. I was going to read these pages some more and just get caught up on things. Still waiting to hear who's on my list of 100x programmers. Oh, you mean individual programmers? I mean, they're still the same people, which is also the problem. I mean, John Carmack, maybe Tim Sweeney. I don't know if Tim still programs. Some of the people at RAD are good. A couple of them are younger. Some people might end up being good. So like, the author of Remedy Debugger, George, like he's making a whole debugger and not a lot of people can do that. So like that looks good. I mean, I haven't seen how much code it is or how complicated it is, but that's one person sitting down and doing something that most people seemingly would not be able to do. And it runs way faster than Microsoft's debugger and all these things, right? $10x is a myth. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. It is not a myth. It is not a myth. Anyway, so I think part of the problem is I don't feel like we're seeing as many 10x powered programmers come up from the younger ranks, and I think it's because programming is so dumb now and so much of it is tedious glue code that like it's like so easy to make something mediocre that I think a lot of people don't get past that, whereas if they were driven to do something hard, maybe they would be better. Like when I decided to make a video game with one of my friends from college, it was the hardest time to decide to make a game. Absolutely the hardest time. And we had a really hard time, and we eventually went out of business, but I learned a lot. And if I hadn't had my ass kicked in that way, it's like going to Army boot camp, right? Like if you have some guy who goes to Army boot camp and becomes a badass later in life because of what he learned and the training he did, that's just different from someone who like chills at the lake with his friends for a couple years, right? And I feel like the environment for programmers now is like chilling at the lake with your friends for a couple years, except it's also kind of a polluted lake that smells. But it's the best that you have. It's like people aren't going to Army boot camp. And that has consequences. Okay. So I just wanted to look on this Oberon page and see like what's new. Like what are these dates up here? Is this modification dates? I kind of just want to see what's up lately because I have the physical book here right next to me. There's an emulator. So they have Verilog source, right? So it looks to me like they probably never... Did they ever actually tape one of these out? Let's see if they have fat... Whoa! This is old school. Oh, do you like run it on VLSI or something? NS32032. I don't know what that is. Oh, it's FPGA, yeah. Sorry, I said VLSI. I meant FPGA. Yeah. I mean, that's cool. Okay, so it seems like this is still alive, but it's not like super thriving right now. Let's look up this Serenity OS stuff. Okay, yeah, so this is more about UI than the actual OS. Graphical Unix-like operating system for x86 computers. Custom Unix-like. What does that mean? Is it just its own kernel, or did it fork from something? Because that's actually not that interesting. Like, if it's basically like a POSIX style kernel, I'm like, yeah, whatever. It's not where we're at today. Desktop notification? God, no. No. And like, okay, so this bothers me. The fact that all these things are like servers is very Unixy, and again, it's like, well, the web and telnet server, whatever, that's what that has to be. But like these things, it's like, why are those servers? You want to have a billion bajillion processes running. That's fine. So this is a very different style than I would do. But if you like Unix and you're like, I want to make a simpler Unix, then maybe that could work for you. So they don't mention forking it from anything. So maybe it is from scratch. I mean, it does. Well, they have an X2 file system. Did they do that themselves, or did they just use Linux's? Why would you do an X2 file system if it was your own? That's maybe just for compatibility. Well, it's not forked from anything that was GNU code. Do I follow the Handmade network? I drop by there sometimes, but it seems like not a lot happens there. I go to the forums and there just aren't very many posts, which is unfortunate. How else will you be notified on the desktop? I don't want desktop notifications. Just don't do that. That's a design for people with low attention spans. What's my take on Plan 9 stuff? Well, I mean, I like the idea of a simplified operating system. I don't know that much about some components of Plan 9, but I will say the whole 9p thing is an interesting idea coming from Unix pipes, but I don't think it's the right idea for an operating system. I think communication should happen via strongly typed data structures and shared memory, because that gets rid of all these stupid problems that we have. So that would be the operating system that I did, was strongly typed communication and shared memory. X2 is easy to implement yourself. Okay. Handmade network Discord is where all the action is. Well, I mean, that's not good for productivity. What's my take on the Fuchsia kernel? I don't know what that is. So I don't subscribe to communicating sequential processes. I forget what that is, but no, I don't. Would my OS allow alternative window managers? I mean, probably, but that's also part of why Linux is so broken, is because they do that. So I'm not sure. I would really want to look at that problem carefully in a way where I said, how do I do this without creating a disaster? Right. So communicating sequential processes, formal language for describing patterns of interaction and concurrent. Member of the family of mathematical theories of concurrency known as process algebras, based on measure. Yeah, I mean, I've talked about this before. So I've never read the research on this very carefully, but from my experience with actual parallelism, this doesn't seem to me like a way to achieve high degrees of parallelism. It's just not. Because you need shared data, right? And so if you're just communicating through channels, like, you know, I mean, assuming that I have right in my mind what this is, right? If the means of communication between processes is shared channels, then you're ignoring the reality of the hardware that you're sitting on, and that's always a recipe for being slow. It's not exactly that I want to get closer to the hardware. It's that getting closer to the hardware is the only way to actually use the processors that we have for most problems. That just is what it is. You can't ignore the hardware details and go fast. That's just where we're at. Have I seen The Sojourn? It reminded you too much of The Witness. Isn't that the puzzle game that we downloaded and played on stream? Wait, no, this is a different game. I don't remember. Which one was this? Let's see the trailer.
The Sojourn is awash in ancient wisdom, awesome vistas, and astonishing challenges. It's a tightly designed puzzle box, built from a mixture of well-worn concepts and original ideas.
Didn't we play this?
I'm Chris from Iceberg Interactive.
Yeah, we played this.
And today, I'm going to lift away the veil of shadow from the Sojourn. I'm going to guide you through those first tricky mechanics, what they are, how they work, meanings concerning the experience of... Your time in the Dark World is limited by your movement.
Yeah, we played that.
By this meter,
We played that on stream. It was a long time ago, like 6-8 months. This was like before coronavirus, I think. Modern games like Doom Eternal use job queues instead of game loops. No, see, that kind of works, but I don't think it works that well in the limit. Just, and you can ask Casey about this because he is more strongly opinionated about it than me, but like, if you have a thread and it picks up a job off a queue and then it picks up a different job from a queue and all that, like you're flailing the cache around between different jobs and stuff, and so you're like not going to be ready to do the job. You're going to be slower than... So first of all, A, you're going to be slower than a thread that's dedicated to a certain task, and B, you're going to be hammering on the job queue, which is very slow, right? I mean, there are ways you can try to get around that by like fanning it out and stuff. But yeah, hammering on the job queue is very slow. So something like software transactional memory rather than CSP? No. Software transactional memory is even slower. Software transactional memory is something you do if you're making a functional programming language. I'm not sure that it can work well in an imperative programming language. Did I get a new RTX card? No, I'm hearing that those are pretty unstable mostly. So I will not be getting one for a while. Doom Eternal is one of the better optimized games. I mean, it's hard for me to say. When I watched it being played, it looked worse than original Doom. Or Doom 2016, I mean. That might have just been art direction or something. I don't know. Maybe some people who were the good level artists left the company or something. It just didn't look very good to me. Whereas I was very impressed by the Doom 2016. So I don't know what the deal is there. In this OS, would the file manager be implemented in the OS rather than user land, as software cannot access the file system? I am tempted to say that the file system is in user space. I mean, this might be a bad decision, but I'm tempted to say that your programs just get areas of raw disk space that the OS can enlarge on request. And they're completely isolated from each other. Are we hiring, and where do positions usually get listed? We are hiring programmers right now, but experienced engine programmers only. There has been a lot of good work in high throughput work-based queues. I mean, I kind of don't believe it. Like even in the Naughty Dog GDC presentation, when they presented their job system, they had already been getting criticism about it. And the guy said during the presentation, our task right now was our goal was to just try to fan out all the jobs across the cores. It wasn't exactly to be optimal about it, right? He hedges it in the presentation. So it's not like this is like indisputably good. If you want to be close to the physical hardware as possible, then you're better served by something like fibers, where the programmer decides what to yield. So the preempted process threads don't thrash the cache until such time as the programmer determines where useful work can be done. Maybe. I mean, I haven't thought very much about fibers versus threads. It's not a place that I have practical experience in. I do think that really the only way that we have for computers to get faster is to add more cores. So maybe at some point soon, you're just going to have more cores than you can use anyway, and then fibers are kind of moot. But I don't know, maybe fibers still have an advantage in that situation. If I were to start writing an OS today, do I have an idea of what do I want structurally? What does structurally mean? Oh, fibers was a concept Naughty Dog talked about. Right. But they had all these restrictions too. Like the problem, one of the many problems with Naughty Dog's thing was that thread operations were illegal inside of Fiber, which means you cannot use third-party code unless it's carefully vetted, right? There was a number of things that were illegal. I mean, that's fine, but it's not that general. The problem is that you need to fan out over all the cores. Well, that's the first order problem, right? If you're stuck synchronizing on a single thread, then yes, it's an improvement to get the stuff running on the cores. But now if you zoom into all those cores that look like they're working, you'll find out a lot of that work is waste in the game that they shipped. And so the question is, how do you get rid of that waste? Okay. Somebody made this all mathy since the original paper. Oh yeah, I remember reading about this. The chocolate machine. Anyway, I think I was meaning to read a book on that just to catch up. So I'm going to leave that up in my browser. There's always waste in communication. Right, but there's more or less waste. Like it's a computer. You can do things more efficiently or less efficiently on a computer. And what I'm saying is that job systems have inherent inefficiencies. That maybe are not that bad in some cases, but in other cases are like if your jobs are small, they're really bad, right? That's all. Do I think the job system is inherently inefficient because of the design or because the problem it's trying to solve has a lower bound of efficiency? I think it's inefficient a little bit by design. That just is what it is. When I say waste, what do I mean? I mean, for example, okay, let's take the very simple case, which is horrible, and you shouldn't do this. I have done this before, not knowing better. You want to make a job system, so you're like, cool. You have this job data structure. It's got an enum at the top telling people what job type it is, and there's a bunch of threads waiting on a semaphore. And when the semaphore goes positive, they'll look at the list of jobs waiting and pull one thing off that linked list, right? And when you want to schedule a job, you make one of these job data structures, you fill it out, you put it in the list, you grab the mutex, right? Put it in the list, release the mutex, ping the semaphore, right? So when you do that, which is like the obvious job system, The problem is the cache coherency protocol, which you are not thinking about at all when you do that, is having a very, very bad time. Because you've got all these threads that want to look at the same couple of memory locations, right? The mutex and or the linked list data structure, right? And you just have to look up. So, if you went to computer science school, maybe you learned about MESI, right? Which is a simplified version of this, but most CPUs run some more advanced version of that. I forget what the acronym is on Intel. It's like MOSC or something. There's a protocol that caches have to do for communicating with each other when you request something that other people might have written. So if I want to read this memory location, and it's possible that somebody else might have written that memory location, I have to stop, tell everybody else, hey man, I need this memory location. So if you've got a write to that location somewhere in your write pipe, then please flush it and then tell me when you have done that. And if you don't have a write pending for this thing, then tell me that you don't, right? I need to hear from every other CPU before I can proceed. And so then your CPU sits there and waits, and everybody goes, okay, cool. Yeah, we're done, but that takes a long time, right? And then you do your write and do that and release the mutex. But the problem is, while you were doing that, because it's a job system, everybody else is waiting on you too. So all your threads are bottlenecking on the same location, right? And that gets tremendously inefficient due to cache coherency protocols, right? Now you can start to work around that. So for example, you could have 10 job threads, right? Or not 10 job threads, 10 queues. And you could have n job threads per queue so that they're roughly evenly distributed. And then whenever you have a new job, you could put it in one of those queues, and then you reduce the amount of knocking on the same memory location by 10x. There are better things to do than that, but that's one of them, right? But then another problem is say I'm a thread and I pick up a job, and it's run a filter, run a convolution filter on this piece of memory. And then I do that, and it's okay. And then you pick up the next job, and it's do this triangle intersection operation. And you're wait, I was just doing convolution. Now I have to do triangle intersection. I have to throw all this convolution stuff out of the cache, right? And then I have to go get the triangle intersection stuff from main memory, and that's pretty slow, right? And then you finish doing that, and then you run the job, and you check it in, and then you get a new job off the queue, and it's run this convolution on this memory location. And you're dude, I just did a triangle intersection and threw all this convolution stuff out of the cache. Now you're telling me to go do a convolution again, right? So that's another problem with job systems. You think they said they found it was most important to use as many cores as much as possible, more important than worrying about cache. Yeah, that kind of means they weren't using the cores that well, though. Probably. Again, what are you comparing? If you're saying, oh, we're mostly single-threaded, but we managed to then put all this work on these other cores, and it's kind of inefficient, but we managed to do it, yeah, that'll be better than single-threaded. But it's not as good as if you were using those cores actually at close to maximum efficiency. So what are you comparing to, right? In programming languages, security focus is almost always bad. Don't you think there's a similar thing going on in modern OSs? Probably a little bit. I'm not as much on the OS scene, so I don't exactly know. But yeah, probably. You've been trying to learn for like 2 weeks now and you're starting to lose motivation. You went from 4 to 5 hours a day to 1 hour a day and the rest of it doing nothing. Is there something that you recommend to keep up your motivation and power? Well, you have to be more specific, I think, about what are you trying to learn. Okay, what are you trying to learn? What was your picture initially of what was going to be exciting about learning that, right? And then why is that not exciting anymore? Like, what is going wrong? You get cash thrashing well before you hit jobs. I don't know how to interpret that comment. There's inherent cost in scheduling jobs. If you have more job types than cores, then you cannot keep cache locality. If you attempt to, you end up running operations serially. Okay, let me make an analogy though, right? This is like manual memory allocation versus having a garbage collector, right? The functional language people and now the Golang people and stuff just say, look, the programmer shouldn't have to manage memory. You just use memory, and then when it's no longer being used, it'll be collected by the job system. I mean the memory reclamation system. And you don't have to think about it. And it's like, okay, that functions, but it's a lot slower than if you manually manage memory, right? It's the same thing with parallelism. You're saying, hey, there's this very general system that can do the job, or can make things happen. And I'm like, yeah, I agree that it can make things happen. It's just slow, right? It's just like rendering. Like when you're rendering a 3D scene, guess what? You're going to have to switch shaders sometimes. It's inevitable. That's exactly like what you're saying, right? You're going to have to dump the cache sometimes in the CPU. You're going to have to swap shaders and swap state on the GPU. You're going to have to, because rendering the scene requires that, right? Because there are more shaders to use than one, actually. But whatever. It's like having more job types than cores. But you want to minimize that. It's very important for rendering speed that you minimize that as best you can. It's huge. Manual memory operations can often be slower than GC. That is horseshit, and sorry, no. If that's what you think, then I can't discuss this with you because it's completely false. Completely false. It is so far beyond false that it's not even funny. You just have bad information if you're making that argument. The problem you have is you think it's fear of failure. You've never done something or finished something. You thought maybe you could learn how to make a website and maybe find a job, get your shit together. But the more you move into it, the more you pull back. Well, maybe watch that video that someone linked, if it's the video that I'm thinking of. Yeah. So watch that one. That's something that I had to say about this a couple years ago. It might help. It might not. Right? But you could see, like, I talk at length about this kind of lack of psychological motivation, and maybe it'll be useful for you. If it's not, then I tried. It's objective. No, dude, okay. If you think that that is a correct argument, then you're not actually familiar with high performance game programming. That's all I can say. We manually manage memory all the time, and we almost never call malloc, because you don't call malloc if you're manually managing memory. Like, these are arguments. You're repeating arguments that you've heard on the internet by people who didn't actually have to seriously solve performance problems in a high performance application. That's why I just have no patience for listening to this. All right. You literally, so you're telling me that a garbage collector is somehow faster than a program that is mostly manually managed arenas. That's crazy. I have no idea why you would say such a thing. All right, I'm going to stop arguing. This is a dumb argument. Well, that was, I mean, I think I want to read more of the CSP stuff just so I'm familiar with the formalization. But I don't think it's the way that I would solve threading problems. So I don't know what to do now. I could sign off. I could try to play a game again, but I don't exactly know what. Did I finish Monster Expedition? No. I could try making a little bit more headway on it. Do I subscribe to Casey's view that GPUs will cease to exist and CPUs will handle all the work in the near future? I used to hope for that. That would be a lot better than the world we have right now. I don't know when Casey said this or why he believes this. I would like to hear the argument because I don't know of any evidence that leads me in that direction. But if he knows some, then that would be good for me to know. Do I like turn-based games like XCOM or Fire Emblem? Yeah, when they're good. Frog Fractions? I couldn't do it. I tried. I couldn't do it. Have I seen BPM? Yeah, but I just don't like these shooter games where you have to wait till the beat to shoot. It doesn't make sense to me. Like, it's completely counter to the instincts that you develop from all other shooters, and it doesn't feel good to me. So I just don't tend to play them. You thought BPM was the reverse? No, I saw a streamer play it, and it had, it had the little DDR style, or not exactly DDR, but like it had a reticle that came in at a constant speed to show you the beat. Okay. We'll try to get a little further in tree game. We'll do some tree garbage collection. You have a lot of very low polyphysics objects in a 2D game, which leads to a lot of draw calls. Is it beneficial to pre-compute world space coordinates on the CPU? Or is that not done usually? I mean, this really depends. It depends on what API you're using, and thus if draw calls are very expensive. It depends on what level of shaders that you have access to, right? You could pack all your objects into one buffer and then have, like if you have modern shaders, you can have all your objects in one vertex buffer, but they also have an index of which object ID they are. And then in another buffer, you have positions and rotations for each object. And then at vertex shader time, you look up the object ID and rotate those in the vertex shader, which sounds stupid expensive, but it's cheaper than having a lot of draw calls a lot of the time, right? There are just different ways to solve this problem, but it sort of depends on what exactly you're doing. If you're writing UI for your game, is it best to try to use some sort of system or just hack it in? It depends on how much UI you need and how fancy it needs to be, probably. And how much time you have to do it. You're using DX11, so that would be possible, I think. Is this indexed rendering? I mean, I don't think there's a name for it. This is just something you could do with a general vertex shader. Maybe somebody called that indexed rendering. I don't know. Okay. All right. We are gonna chop some trees. Maybe. It's been a while. I don't maybe remember the map as well anymore. I mean, do I try to get there? I kind of don't see how to get there from another island. Like, it really doesn't look possible, so it looks to me like I'm supposed to try to get there from here. But I also don't really know how to do that. I mean, maybe from this island right here? That's about it. I don't have any other ideas. You think D3D11 calls all the API functions draw index? No, that's different than what I'm saying. I think. I don't actually know, but what I'm talking about is not what is traditionally called an index buffer. That's like a different thing, I think. Okay, let's just see. Like, I remember trying to get there before from that island and I couldn't figure it out, but maybe I'm 3 days smarter now. Okay, wait, I was doing something here? Oh, was this how we made a raft to, like, go over? I don't know. This is definitely sus. Okay, so I could reset this island. I don't know. It's kind of sus. Like, these logs could be used in some other way than how I am using them. To maybe... But getting something all the way down here doesn't seem that plausible either. Wait, are these two? These aren't even two baggers, dude. These are one baggers. How am I supposed to get across there with two one baggers? It does not seem possible. The only thing that's a little suspicious is well, yeah, I just undo all this. So I guess the thing that I did before was I wanted to make this raft and then try to push off it, like if I could get the big log. The problem is I have to knock this down to do this, right? If I didn't have to do that, then I could go here, I could knock that tree vertically. I could go here, push it to the right, and then come down, push it north one, and then push off it and ride the raft. That would get me to that island, and that's my only thesis about how to get there. The problem is I need to be able to knock it this way. Which maybe means that I need to reset this island. Oh, but it puts me over here. See, that ruins it. If I could, like, somehow get on that island and reset it while this is reset. Okay, wait. Wherever that raft goes, would I be able to raft back from there? No. Like if I make that raft, it just goes and stops here. And there's really not anything I can do. But if I could put something here to push off of, then I could have this island be reset, right? Come over here, come out this, push off, go over here, and then reset this island and make this bridge again. However I did that, which I honestly don't remember, but okay. And from that, I would then have this island and this bridge, and this would be reset. That's my only plan for how to get to that island. It might not be correct, right? What else might I do? Maybe these have to be reset, and I come from way down here. That doesn't look right at all. Maybe I can raft from the previous side. There's no rafting points though. There's no. Anyway, I don't have any idea how I would push a raft off of this. Because there's no way to get a log across because of this stump. So yeah, I'm not going to entertain that too hard. So I see, 2 points. There's a 2 here. And there's 2 here. And this is suspicious. Because you could roll something across. If you had something here, you could roll it across there and it would hit the stump and stop. The problem is, I think that bridge is this tree, so if I reset this island so that I could do something else, we probably lose that thing. And I would need a second 1-bagger if I were trying to do that. What about rafting on the island I'm currently trying? I can't raft from there. I don't know. You need something to push off in order to move the raft. Maybe it's just you, but you're 19 and just don't enjoy games anymore for some reason. Maybe you're burned out on them and need a break. Let me just try playing with that. Like, okay, if this is where we're trying to go, what would I get over there? Do I need to try to, okay, let's say I somehow manage to solve this without knocking this to the edge, and I get it back, and I can roll it, and it goes here, right? Then I push, and then it's the wrong orientation, right? Because it's north-south. I push, it's vertical. I push, it's east-west. So then I push an east-west log into that water, which doesn't help anyone. Which sucks. I also don't really know what this log is for. Or this rock that's south of me. I don't know what that's for. It might just be to block a solution, but it wouldn't seem necessary if this island were by itself. I wish I could tell by looking at stumps which one was the 2 high and which one was the 1 high. You can just reset and press Z to see. Yeah, that's true. I just wish I could look without doing it though. Okay, so that's the 2 bagger. And that's the 1 bagger. Okay. There is some way, now that I've connected a loop, maybe I could swap roles of the 2 trees. It might be hard because I don't see how I would get the 1 bagger off. But imagine I could move both the 1 and the 2 freely. Then what if I put the 1 right here where I'm standing, east-west? Oh no, I couldn't. I was thinking I would be able to push the 2 across, but I can't do that unless it's a raft, right? If it's just a 1 and I push the 2 on top of it, it'll sink and make a raft plus a 1 unit. But I was thinking it would be cool if I could kind of push it to there and then somehow come in the other side, but I wouldn't, you can't pull logs either, so that wouldn't help. Yeah, some areas do have different stumps. It's true, but it's not consistent. I mean, I would have just had the number of rings or something, right? Like the 2 stump has 2 rings and the 1 stump has 1 ring. I think that would have been fine. Heard that Serious Sam 4 has tree garbage collection issues during the final fight. Oh yeah, it does. Oh yeah, it does. Yeah, I don't have a theory about what I would do with this log, even if I could free it, which I haven't even really tried. Now instead, from this island I could try building left, which seems hard. But if I somehow make a bridge left in the middle here, then I could come around the loop, right? And I could chop this tree to the left. That's still no good. If I chop it to the north, that's probably no good. I mean, if I had a bridge here to the right, made by those other trees, and then I come across here, I go around and I chop this north, then I could roll it across, I guess. That was what would happen. Or would it fall in? I don't actually... It would slide off and fall in. But... Oh, guys, I have a theory. Remember when I said this log would be facing the wrong way to roll it in? I forgot the theme of the area. The theme of the area is vault a log over another log. If I get this guy rolled across here, I push it there, it's east-west, then I reset this island, which will not reset that log, I don't think, because it's from another island. This tree is standing, and then I push it, it vaults over the east-west log, it fills the gap, and then I dump the east-west log into the water. Right? Right? Somebody just typed that in chat, but fortunately I didn't read it before figuring it out myself. Now you're thinking with logs, yes. Now I am thinking with logs. So how do we do that? I mean, I guess I did this, right? I don't even remember the original solution, but so we have that. Okay, so now the problem is, right? The problem is if I do this and use it as a blocker again, it pushes it to the edge. So I have to not do that in some way. And like, I don't know. Yeah, I'm so glad I figured it out without reading that. I mean, maybe I subconsciously saw it in my peripheral vision and my brain decoded the blur, but I don't think so. I think I legit figured it out. But now this part seems, if that's actually the solution, this part seems hard. Is there anything else I could do? Okay, we need this to be left, right, so it pretty much has to be chopped to the right. This one we can't really do anything with. Once I do that, it's GG's, right? We can't do anything with it. Same if I chop it down, that's GG's. And if I push that into the water to push it left, then I can't use that log to roll across. So it has to be north. But it kind of has to be vault north, because what else am I going to do from here? I mean, and to vault, I have to push it down. But then by the time I do this, I've reduced my combinatoric space to the point of no return, seemingly. You just did this puzzle like 20 minutes ago. Well, oh wait, I can do this. Why? I'm silly. I could do this. Why didn't I do that? That is so easy. Okay. Easy. islands. All right, great. Success. Okay. Quality. Score has gone up. How about this island? Well, it doesn't really look raftable. Again. The most likely place to come from would be the island to the left of it. But that's kind of also a hideous, heinous island. What am I using to develop Monsters Expedition? I am using Steam. And I paid Steam like $10 or $20, and then the game came out. Okay. But, okay, the problem I have with this is this looks like the exit from this island. Like that tree being where it is sort of indicates that's the outdoor, not the indoor. So I feel like I do raft to there. From where, I don't really know. But I feel like that's a rafter. I don't have a theory about where from, though. So this is the area where we can get the multiple raft stack. Did we ever figure out what that's for? You can get like 3 rafts on this little loop here. Oh, but I guess we use that to go west or something, so maybe that puzzle is solved. But maybe it bears on this in some way. Like, for example, if I could fill in this square here, then I could raft from here to here and then go south. That seems a little bit hard, but maybe not impossible. Or similarly, yeah, if I... Yeah, it's really efficient. Instead of spending millions of dollars to make a video game, just pay somebody $10. Why doesn't everyone do that? What is my theory about how to fill that square? I don't have one. It doesn't look possible. This island has stumps blocking the entrances. So getting something across is not really going to be good. Okay. Well, wait. I just said that we could get 3 rafts here. The problem is I can't get out. If I could get a raft here and then stop it and get out, then the second raft would pile up there, the third one there, and then if I could get a 4th one, which I don't honestly remember, like, is that even possible, right? I mean, 1 raft, 2 raft, 3... Maybe if I reset that island and then reset this bridge, that wouldn't help. I would raft to there. Ugh. That's literally a 2 out of 3 logic gate to make progress in the main sequence. I have to say, I don't have that clear of a memory of it. I just remember yeah, I guess you just had to I don't remember what I did. I did something to solve it. Obviously. Okay, snowmans. What's the theme of these islands? Good question. It's something about like rafting around. I don't know. It's been a long time. Like this part is definitely a raft loop, but like this part, I don't really remember. Oh, I think it's rolling a log along another log to make a bridge in various ways. Except I don't see that having happened consistently. So maybe there isn't really a theme to this part. I don't remember though. But like I have 3 rafts in that loop, right? So I can make a bridge that goes 1, 2, 3 out to here. The problem is I'd need a 4th raft. Maybe that's actually possible now, right? If I can get a 4th raft into this loop, then I can solve it. That seems like it's a further extension of like what was already going on, so let's just maybe start to do that. Oh crap, I can't get out of this without, right, that's the thing. I can't get onto these rocks. So I could stack up all 3 of these rafts. And then I could put a piece of wood on the middle one and push it to the right and hit the mushroom with it, but that's kind of useless. Is this a raft queue? I guess so. Okay, let me just, because I don't know what else to do, I'm going to mess around with the rafts and line them up just to give myself something to think about. So I don't remember why this was not solvable originally and what I had to do to make it. I guess I'm supposed to be able to connect those. So like now, this one I can go at length. But actually I guess I would need 5 rafts to solve this. 6. No, that's not happening. Okay, here's one thing that I don't know the answer to. That I've postulated could be a thing. If you put 2 1-by-1 rafts next to each other that are oriented the same way, do they fuse into a 2-by-2? My impression is the answer is no, but I don't actually know. Someone says no, they don't. Okay. Or 2-by-1, sorry. That's fine. I suspected it was false, but you could see how that would be a thing here. Of like, oh, try to get them in the other order. Oh God, I know what it is. Sort of. So now that I have these lined up, these rafts are in order, right? 1 here, 2 from here, 3 from here. I can reset 1 and do it again, and it'll be there. And I can still get off this island, because it'll make an L shape. I could reset 2 and go there and do it, and that'll give me my 3 wide. The problem is, after that point, I don't know what to do. Let me just do that to prove that that's a thing and maybe give me more ideas, right? So, whoops. Bam, so now I can get off, all right? This seems like something a game designer would do, right? Right. And that was number 2 next. Hopefully. Yep. So the problem is, though, I don't know how to get off this raft once I build it. Like now I'm stuck, and I'm 1 square away. Okay, what else could I do? I could put raft number 2 here, put a log on it. Well, or not put a log on it. I could put a raft there, use it to stop another raft from here. And then maybe I could go this way, but I don't have anything to push off here. But that's a little bit sus. Like I could fill that square and then cut this way if I had a push. Anyway. If I somehow could have made a log blocker, if I could fill one of these squares with a log, it would make it all the way, right? And then I could sail the last raft in. Oh! Duh, I can get off this way. I'm stupid. Hey everybody, I'm stupid. Now, I can't remake Raft 3, but I can remake Raft 1. Okay, GG's. Whoops, GG's. Right, that was the right one, right? Wait, whoa. That was not the right raft to... Why did it put the other raft there? This game's a cheating bastard. That's actually bullshit. Like, I would be able to solve the puzzle right now if it didn't do that. Is that a bug or what the fuck? I can still solve it. I mean, well, I could do it with Raft 3, right? The problem with Raft 3... Oh, no. It's that I can't go the other way, right? Okay, let me go try Raft 3. That is bullshit, though. Except I don't really... Oh yeah, you do this. Alright, GG's. Okay, this is a very large area that I think I should attempt to get to. It's like 3 islands, man. Maybe this is a rule you learn later. I don't know. It looks like a bug to me. Let's check out our score. Look at that, 15 smiley mans, or womans, or neithers. Okay. What are my theories about how to get there? Sure looks like I raft from this, doesn't it? But, if I recall, there's nothing east of this. Nope. Could raft from there. That looks like a thing. How do I get there? From here. Oh look, exactly the place with the things that I haven't figured out. Okay, if I can push this north-south and get across to the island, then I can reorient this one. Okay. That doesn't seem too bad. How do I do this? Well, this isn't going to help. I need to get this north-south. I have no recourse here. Yeah, but that one just seemed buggy because that should have been, given that the solution that worked was isomorphic to the solution that I was trying to do, it was just a different raft. Like, that should have worked. It should have been totally fine. Okay, the problem is, of course, I cannot push that log anywhere useful from the south. So I have to cross from the north. That just is what it is. I don't know how to do that. It's very clearly the thing to do, though. I don't know. The answer is always that you are overthinking the intended solution, maybe. I just don't know what to do, though. Like, I could push that from the south. It falls down. I can't push it into the water because of the stump rule. I can't do anything from there. I can do the weird thing where I jump down though, right? Onto that log. I don't think that helps me, but no, I can't here. So this is what I'm trying to avoid. This is not helpful, right? And I don't see a way to get a third log in on this action because routes in are all blocked by stumps. That said, maybe some things can happen, like okay, I don't seem to be able to okay, hold on. I'm starting to think about what if I do that raft cycle in the other direction here? Even though it seems kind of far away from that puzzle, right? If I can bridge from this island north here, that lets me use this tree, maybe? Not obviously because of this frickin' rock, but, you know, like, if I pre-break these like you do originally, I guess, and then I sail a raft over here from one of the other rafting points, I could push this to the side. Then from that raft, I could push the south one north. That doesn't help me though. You have 50 snowmen? Wait, how are there 50 snowmen in the game? Wow, I only have 15 smiley faces out of 50. There has to... Some work is going to happen. I feel like I do need some kind of external element, because there's really nothing on this island alone that I can do with this thing. That I can see. It's like I need to switch the parity of the thing, and to do that, I kind of need a rock from another place. Or a stone from another place. Or you know, the thing. If this stump was laying here, and I somehow got another one on it, I could push it over. That would just fill in this, and then I could reset this island and get out and come back in somewhere else, like on the rafts or wherever. And then I could get this tree to the right. And then that would let me switch the parity of this very easily. okay? So I kind of feel like oh, yeah. So I kind of feel like I have to solve this island in the other direction. So, like, I need to get on the rocks, I guess. The problem is I need a third frickin' log here, dude. Because there's no other way to do it. Hold on. So I can't really do anything with this log without using the other one to fill a square. Right? If I have it, I push it. Wait, so I push it there. It's left, right, vertical, north, south, vertical, east, west. Or wait, vertical, north, south on top of the stump. Then I go here, I roll it. It's north, south, vertical. But at that point, I kind of can't do anything. I mean, I'm still stuck on this down here. This is a little bit weird. Like, I could put all three rafts in the other direction. And connect these two islands with rafts. That is a thing that I could do. Does that help me in any way? I don't think so. But I could connect this island with this island. It doesn't really let me use the logs though, because they're in one of the rafts that's bridging. So maybe then I try to solve this in the opposite direction. Right? I don't remember how this worked originally. I don't see how to really get this across to that island. What configuration did these end up in? That's down there. Really? I'm guessing that I had to roll a log south. Wow, that was vertical. What? Was? Maybe this is the wrong way to go. Because I don't see where to go from here. That isn't a straight lose. So what could I do besides that? Oh, well, let's undo that. I don't know, man. Life is hard. I can get across to these islands now. Backwards. Does that help me? Probably not. Because what I... Because I could have just reset this island before and still gotten to it, right? So the only way that would help me is if I could actually get a separate log across, which I could only do if this was here, and then I could somehow roll it, which I wouldn't be able to because of that rock right there. You saved a soft lock and lost 15 snowmen. I'm sorry. You must have been doing some crazy stuff. It's about bedtime for me. So the question is, do I keep trying here? Do I try swapping to a different puzzle for a little bit? Or do I just go to bed? Soft lock solution is actually easier than the actual solution. Too bad. Probably easier with a fresh look. Yeah, I don't feel like I'm on the right track. Like, I feel like it would be a really cool theme for a whole archipelago that you solve it forwards and then you have to solve it backwards and rebuild all the bridges backwards. Like, that's something that I would do if I thought of it, but it doesn't feel like that's what this is. I mean, it almost could be. Like, you could imagine once I've done this, that if I were over here and I somehow got this log across, of course I can't because of this. Oh no, I got this log filling in this water, then I could come from this side and push this one, and then I could roll a log here and it would stop here. The problem is now I can't do anything useful with it. So I theoretically could work this backwards direction, but I don't see how it helps. And also, I don't know, I might get stuck trying to do that as well. Not sure. All right, well, let's try one more look at another thing before bed. There's this one right here, which doesn't look like a raft again. I mean, maybe somehow by knocking that to the right, not likely. But it's also really far from anything. So it has to be a raft. Or something else, some other mysterious. I mean, this looks very weird, but the prospect of building a raft there does not seem super likely. There should be a place in the game where you have to stack two rafts on top of each other to go between rocks. I feel like that should be a thing. Okay, I really don't have a theory about that. What about this? I mean, it sort of looks like I'm supposed to get this raft back into this corner and then push up. But like, I don't remember even, I wish I had a way to know if the raft, I guess I can reset. Okay, the raft is from this island. So if I wasn't worried about going to the right, let's try and resolve this. How did this even work? Whoops. that's a raft. Now the problem... Okay, wait. Okay, we'll do that. We'll do that. That doesn't help me, though. Like, I need to make the raft with the third log in a useful place. What can I do with this tree? I know I did something before where I got it onto the raft, because that's what you do is you push it, you get it on the raft and then you push it to the right, and then you get it off the raft, right? That's the whole thing. Or wait. I guess it falls down here? I don't remember. Let's just try to do any solution. I guess we do that one first. And then that one. And then that one. Sort of, except that trashes that. I don't know, everybody. Video games are hard. I already solved this one and I do not remember. Oh, duh, no, you do it the other way. Duh, you do this, and then that, and then this, right? That would let me push it. So now the thing is, can I get this back? Like, I need to push back off it to get the raft back over. I don't think that's ever going to work because that puts it, no matter what, in an unsustainable position. We could send it off, I think, right? Bye. It doesn't help me. Okay, so from here, just needed to get one square left. Okay. I have two ways. Now, to get moving this raft, I could push it, the log, or push me, right? And if I push the log, that gives me one vertical parity, but I can't really get back, right? If I push me, then maybe it's recoverable. Except again, not really. Oh, well, it's recoverable by putting the log on the raft. But I can't do that because this hoses me. Get a log from another island, not going to happen. I don't think. Okay, so pushing it across on the river, on the raft, changes its horizontal parity by 1. Pushing off of it does not change its horizontal parity. Does that matter? I don't particularly care about horizontal parity. I mean, vertical parity would be great because then I would just win. Change parity before creating raft. I don't see a way to do that. Hold on. So what, I can do something slightly more complicated, but I don't see the point. I can push that in. I can do this. No, that just sticks me. Like, that's not going to help anyone. Like if I could get one of the logs here before I rolled it, then I could roll it and it would stop here and then I could just push off it, right? I don't really see how to do that. I would have to like vault this one, which doesn't seem good. That's all I can see though, is like if I got one of these logs there, then I would win. So if I push me off the log, it doesn't change the log's parity, but it also doesn't, there's no reason to do that, because then we haven't performed any work using the raft and we've put it into a more inconvenient position. Did I know Steven Sausage Roll started as a parody of parody games? I did not know that. I mean, maybe I have to solve this the normal way and then bring back logs from the next island. It's just that seems impossible because of the rock formation near the start. It does not seem like a thing to try. Okay, wait though. Look at that. Look at that little L. That pathway would also probably take us to the island. Like this. Boom, probably. Probably that goes there. So now I don't even know. Should I be trying to do this or should I be trying to do this? How would I get 3 logs here? That would just not possible. Except there's sort of like whatever. I think you come in this way and go this way and then bounce off. Does the x86 backend support evening debug info? Yep, Josh did that a while back, and it seems to work. It's really kind of disheartening how much more complexity that adds. There's just like a ton of sections to add and stuff. But maybe I can simplify that now that I've got more general code. All right, we can go look at that for a second. We're just gonna rip on this because I'm a little too tired now. So we have this thing that Josh wrote. It's 2,500 lines. And I don't really know. This looks like it could be less code right here, but it's all for... This is not how I would have done this. This is like adding information for the basic types. Like this is an expandable array, but we have struct stand-ins for these that you could grab and then just call a function that does this generically. So like this wouldn't have to be a bazillion lines. Anyway. I don't know what that is. Built-in types. Like this is very weird that this is done this way. It's also like this is fragile. Like if we go change the type info definition, then this all has to change. So again, this should be reading the structs from the compiler, and it shouldn't be so spammy. I don't know dwarf at all, but this is just some stuff that you write out. And then we have code view. So this is just converting all the basic types that we have. Except again, I wouldn't have done this way. It's a little bit spammy, less spammy than the dwarf version though. Yeah, so I could definitely make this shorter, but it's definitely writing debug info. This actually looks kind of straightforward for what it is. Like, as I just flipped through that, it didn't look like anything crazy or scary was happening. It's just like, well, we're doing all this stuff. That said, it probably could be reduced into many fewer operations, like I don't know, like all this stuff. Probably this only happens once, so it's not that bad, but like, you know, if this happened multiple times for some reason, it's like, just pre-prepare the byte string and do it. But that looks like it only happens once offhand. So I guess we punt on constants right now, which is a weird bummer. We need to fix that. There's this frickin' relocation stuff that we're going to fix elsewhere. Anyway, this will be something that I do a pass on sometime far in the future, but it seems to work all right for now. And it doesn't look too crazy. Although you never know. Sometimes you look at things more closely and you're like, what? And it's not huge either, right? It's 2,500 lines. for both formats. Although it doesn't handle everything right now, but it handles most things. What is add U8B? Yeah. Yeah, that's so this C arrow, right? That's the concatenator, and that's just a thing, it's just like a bucketed buffer thing, right? So you just put little strings into it, and every 64K or whatever, it allocates another buffer. So there's like a linked list of buffers that you don't have to keep resizing if you make a very large output. And then at the end, you say write all these to a file or whatever, right? So the unchecked version is faster and inlined, and it's like, hey, we already ensured 12 bytes contiguous are available, right? We rounded to the next buffer if we didn't have that much. And then we can add 12 bytes of stuff without doing the if statements to say like, hey, are we at the end of the buffer and all these things, right? So that's all. This is 2 bytes. This is 4 bytes. And so the ones that say not unchecked, like that one, it's saying, hey, do we have enough room for 8 bytes? If not, allocate a new buffer and so forth. But most of the time you want to be using the unchecked version if you can, and that's faster. This one, it looks like this only happens once, so it's probably not crazy to not be using the unchecked versions, but I still rather would. Think it's a bug in the code you're running to check if your debug info is valid. Well, I really have no experience in these formats, so I probably don't have any help. I think it's sleep time for me. Thanks everybody for coming by, and see you later on.